Trump decided that he wanted to adjust. Yeah, I mean, y'all told me that the J was silent. Y'all told me that the J was silent. So I call her, the J and the S are silent. So I call her Yamin. Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett continues to say some of the most ignorant, stupid, dumb, and it's so funny because if you look at the people that stand behind her, they are just like the people that were protesting on Hands Off Day on April 5th. Jasmine Crockett says some of the dumbest things that I've ever seen in my entire life. And I believe somebody asked Trump about her and he had his opinion. And so we want to explore that. Again, make sure you guys, her name is Yamin. Yamin. The J and the S is silent, just like Jorge, right? Just like Jesus. Jesus. Hey, Jesus. I call her Yamin. All right. Shout out to Yamin Crockett. Yamin Crockett. But this is what Trump had to say about Yamin. And some of y'all think that she's intelligent. I just tend to think that she's pretty stupid. But that's just my personal opinion. Make sure I hit a like for the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. This is a little bit of what's going on in the political world right now. Trump laughed at it.
All right, President Trump cutting federal funding from universities that don't align with his administration's policies. Princeton is among the latest institution to face financial penalties, losing $4 million over money related to climate research. Cornell and Northwestern also reportedly getting their budgets slashed at a much higher level, with the government pausing nearly $2 billion with a B dollars in federal funds. The Trump administration telling Fox News the money was frozen in connection with several ongoing credible and concerning Title VI investigations.
Those numbers will get your attention. Host of Fox Nation's Reality Check with David Webb and Fox News contributor David Webb joins us now. David, as if on cue, of course, the left is screaming that important research will grind to a halt and all of us will suffer as a result. What's your reaction to that?
They should all head out to the diner near Princeton, sit down and cry in their eggs this morning. The fact is, these universities with monumental endowments already have the ability to carry out the research they did before the government graft that was being given to them, and they can still do that. If they have legitimate public-private partnerships with a government agency to do a specific type of research, then that's legitimate. But just handing them money for all of these programs that, literally make no sense, provide no scientific enlightenment, is what's been going on. It feeds the university. They build the endowments. They increase the tuition for the kids. They literally are taking money from every corner they can and not giving the people a return on their investment. And frankly, we don't need to give them that money. The government needs to pull it back. They need to educate children. And if there's some research, then we can look at it in a targeted fashion. But
somebody asked me, he said, Anton, I don't understand these endowments. Anton, I'm trying to understand these grants. How is Trump withholding funds? Well, again, a lot of these universities get grants from the government. They get research and development grants from the government. And they use that. They're supposed to use that for specific issues, right? Some of them research different use cases when it comes to vaccines, for example. I know the University of Michigan at one point was getting a lot of funding from the federal government for what they would define as a smart city when it comes to the technology that's put in the roads, right? They had research and develop a stronger concrete that lasted longer, or they were automating some certain cities to where it created the infrastructure for us to have cars of the future and electric cars. And so they take that money and they use it for what they deem to be research, grants, development, important things that they think is going to change the lives of the American people in the future. But again, I believe that a lot of these same universities was getting a lot of their funding and then using it for diversity, equity, and inclusion and inclusive programs, especially when it comes to things like sex changes, right? Another thing that was happening at the University of Michigan and Ann Arbor is that they were very progressive in the sex change industry when it comes to children. This is a fact, right? Their hospitals was leading the research and leading the procedures when it comes to changing or the transformation of children from a boy to a girl or a girl from a boy or whatever, so on and so forth. And one of those young people have now grown up and they've been going on tour and they saying, listen, y'all just need to hold up. I'm having a lot of complications. I don't know if this was the right thing to do. It probably shouldn't have changed had me going through these therapy sessions and these changes with my body and doing these procedures when I was a child because I regret it. Now, what the Trump administration is also doing is they're saying if these universities want to continue to push not merit-based programs, but diversity, equity, and inclusion, what we're going to do is we're going to withhold funding. That's when you seen Obama come in with his little speech and said, hey, but y'all got these huge endowments. That comes from alumni, that comes somewhat from tuition. It also comes from grants from the government, and that goes into this one big pot that is supposed to be invested that you can use in dark times. You can use it. You can also use it in order to lower the tuition for students that need it. It can keep tuition low. It can be used for funding, for programs, for new buildings, and all of this stuff. So universities and college campuses is big business. Big business. And at the University of Michigan, for example, there's a lot of people that are protesting. I can't believe you guys are renaming or removing diversity, equity, and inclusion in order to meet government standards. Well, what did you think that they was going to do? You thought that these universities existed just because they were public institutions? No, they exist because the government subsidizes their funding and they get a lot of it from them in order for them to be able to keep the doors open. So now this big thing is college funding, grants, funding from the government, endowments. Harvard has this endowment. University of Michigan has this endowment. Use some of that money and use it and stand on business, like Obama said. And the universities are smarter than that. And they said, no, we're going to try to comply and we're going to just try to meet y'all in the middle somewhere of what your complaints are. We'll hear your complaints. But a lot of these universities get funding for the things that you see. And most of the time, the majority of the funding goes into their coffers. It doesn't necessarily just go to the research and development. All right?
Enough.
Okay, so David, Democrats are currently in search of a leader of their party, and maybe not the leader, but somebody who's getting a lot of attention right now is
somebody said you are smart but arrogant. Fam, you want the information or not? You getting it for free. Sassy. You're getting the information. I'm breaking it. Look, there's nobody on the internet that is crossing multiple subjects, having different conversations, and breaking it down to you from a C student's perspective. Some of the most ungrateful mother effers that I've ever seen in my entire life, and I'm not going to keep holding back on y'all. I'm not going to keep on holding back on y'all. Grow up. You're not in high school. I never heard y'all see the professor and say, you know what, but I like him as a person. He's not there for you to like as a person. He's there to give you the information for you to be successful. Learn to separate the person from the information. Don't worry about what you think about me. If this is conducive for your life, then you lean into it. Stop whining. Stop whining.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Take a listen to some of her recent comments regarding illegal immigration and why she feels it is necessary. And then President Trump talking about her rising star. Watch this.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands. You're not. We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation.
How about this new one they have, their new star, Crockett? How about her? If that's their new star, they're in serious trouble.
Okay, so what do you think about her comments, David? And
that is the most ignorant thing that I've seen a black woman say that is a public figure this year. If that is not one of the most underhanded, oh man, y'all seriously support this woman? Are y'all seriously supporting Jack? No. Honestly, I just want to know, are y'all, who in here is a fan of Yamin? Who in here is a fan of Yamin? I just got to know. I got to know. Who is a fan of Yamin? That is one of the most ignorant people that I've seen in a long time. A long time. So stupid and ignorant. That woman she needs help, bro.
And the president's reaction to her.
Black woman just on point.
Look, this woman's a complete fraud. Either she's a complete fraud or she was a fraud when she went to her private school at $35,000 a year or whatever the final cost was, to Rhodes at over $55,000 a year, and now she's pretending to be a hood rat. Look, I don't like Sheila Jackson Lee, but at least she came from the 5th Ward in Houston, and while we disagreed on politics, she came from a truly poor and crime-ridden neighborhood, and that was part of her district. Jasmine Crockett is a performative politician.
Fact.
She's a fraud. And if Democrats want to follow her, I say go ahead. I want you to follow her down that path, because Democrat deconstruction and destruction of the party is okay with those of us who are sick of this. And, you know, when I leave here, I'm not going to go look for a cotton field or all of these other things she claims that blacks are not doing anymore or that illegal aliens will do. She just lies to promote herself. And because of her, the party will fall even further.
It's going to be fascinating to watch, because you have her, of course, you have AOC, and you have Bernie Sanders, kind of a number of generations all, espousing the same message. Is this where the Democrat Party goes from here based upon the last few months? It looks like they are, and that is,
and it's so dumb
to everybody. David Webb, never be fuddling.
Whether you're communist or idiotic, you're dangerous either way. So let them be dangerous to the Democrat Party. We have real issues in America to address.
David Webb.
That is the fact. Listen, I have not done my research, but this is what everybody has been saying. They say that Jasmine Crockett is Clarence from 8 Mile, and Clarence's parents has had a really good marriage. Well, maybe y'all don't know him by Clarence. Maybe y'all know him by Papa Doc. They said that Jasmine Crockett has been going through a rebrand so that she can appeal to black women. Hey, listen, that is an insult to you guys. That's an insult to you guys. It is an insult for somebody to feel as though in order to resonate with you, they got to come down to your level. They got to get ghetto. They got to get their wig. They got to get their eyelashes. They got to get their nails. They got to start talking like this, because we're not going back and picking no cotton. That is so disrespectful to you guys. You don't feel like you've been bamboozled. You don't feel as though, yo, why are you talking to me like I'm ignorant? Why are you talking to me like I'm dumb? Why you feel like in order to resonate with me, you got to get good and ghetto? You new. You're new from ATL, from what is the ATL movie? Was it ATL or was it something? Whatever the one that was with T.I. in it and new. I thought he did a pretty good job in that. You new. You're new. You had private schooling. You come from a great neighborhood, a strong family. You was a good child. You went to a good school. Your parents absolutely made sure that you had the best education possible. And you feel like you gotta get good and ghetto in order to resonate with the black women and the black men. We support her. Talk your talk, sis. So you went and got you a ghetto kit. You went and got the hood rat kit, the eyelashes, the lace front. My dog Quentin, he liked to call it the middle part bust down. I don't know why they call it middle part bust down. You know, you went and said something like this. You from the hood now. Y'all don't feel disrespected by this woman that reduced y'all to ghetto talk and I'm against Trump. Baby, that's how you know it. That's the minute that they say that, it's over. If they ever say clock it or they start with baby, she ate. Because, baby, we's not going to pick cotton no more. If they start with that, then you already know that it's over. It's over. Don't let them do the baby to you. Don't let them do clock it. Don't let them say any of this stuff. Man, don't fall for it, ladies. Ladies, don't fall for the foolishness, all right? Make sure I hit a like for the algorithm. Subscribe. We not going back to it. We not picking cotton no more. Shut up, bro. Shut up. Make sure I hit a like for the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications.